Hello, it's Cars and Boards.
And here's an unboxing of a game that I was waiting patiently for since fall of 2017. It was a Kickstarter one. As I mentioned before, it's a $600 board game with no miniatures.
And on that note,
And this unboxing should go a bit better than the last one I did, because the last one I did was a R/X-rated game, and someone, I'm not saying who, bought his teenage son, twin son, and I had to keep it cleaner than usual.
I don't
So,
remember
that
that
was
game
clean,
at all.
I do remember that. I don't remember being cleaner though.
Okay, that was me trying to keep it clean. Now, this is the World in Flames bit, and it starts off with, thank you very much for your support.
That was the front quest.
We should. Okay. So anyway,
They did personalize it though.
no, they did personalize it.
Well, you paid $600 for a game, I expected.
The game itself, World in Flames, Final Deluxe Edition, or whatever they're calling it, came with all the things they'd done before, including the annuals. These annuals are the last two annuals they did, and they include Coffee in Flames and the 2008 annual with the expanded Scandinavian map.
So this is a war game, right?
This is a war game. This is World War II.
We're not going to be playing this on our channel most
No.
likely.
Now this is Days of Decision. Days of Decision starts in 1936. From 1936 onward, you make political decisions. At some point, this game slows down a bit because World in Flames begins as World War II begins. As you fight, you basically make political decisions, then you go and Ethiopia dies. Because Ethiopia is under attack by the Chinese, so the Italians.
This is
And
a
we-
war game.
This is the political bits to make the war game much more complicated. Because who wants the standard setup every time, where you're basically fighting the historic German army versus the historic French army and the historic Japanese army, and so on. Next we have Patent in Flames. It is another expansion. Patent in Flames basically is Operation Unthinkable. That is, near the end of World War II, various people on the Allied side were going, I don't think those Russians are going to go back to Russia when this is over. They may stay in Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and all those other places where they have Russian tanks at the moment. Maybe we should do something about it. And Patton had a good idea. You just invite the Germans onto your side and keep on going each till you get the Russian border, or Moscow, whichever you prefer. And this is basically World War II is ending. The Germans are all but eliminated. Let's play on to see if the democracies will communist win. Following that one, we have the opposite. America in Flames. America in Flames assumes that Germany, Japan, and Italy did a lot better than historic. The only parts of the British Commonwealth that are left are Canada, because even the Dominion of Newfoundland has been conquered by the Germans. It's basically North America only, as you fight on desperately against the evil Nazis on one side and the Japanese on the other, and of course the Italians show up as well. And apparently the main goal in this is to get the hydrogen bomb as soon as possible to start nuking the other people, who are probably on American soil by that point, but hey, you can't win a war without nuking a few Americans.
I want that on a t-shirt now.
Yes. Beyond
that
that,
one's done.
that one is done. Now we get to the meat of the game. This is the one I'm opening, because this is the deluxe edition. That includes World in Flames, Ships in Flames, Planes in Flames, Divisions in Flames, and Territorials in Flames.
All sorts of flames everywhere.
What does Territorial in Flames mean? Well, it includes a territorial unit is basically a unit that will fight for whoever's running that country. For example, North Rhodesia. You can build a North Rhodesian unit. Go fight for whoever currently controls North Rhodesia. If the other side conquers North Rhodesia, these guys fighting for you says, we're going to go home now, and the other people can start building their unit. They also include some really weird hypothetical units. For example, what happens if Japan conquers Singapore, then the Chinese Democrats liberate Singapore? Well, there's a unit for that.
Don't worry, there's a unit for that.
Yes.
It's like reps, but not.
No. Okay, and here is the rule book. Here is the ships in flames, divisions in flames, planes in flames, and territorials in flames. About 20 counter sheets here, each full of counters.
There's a tiny little counters too.
Then there's the World in Flames main ones, with more and more counters.
No miniatures, but tons of counters.
Baggies. 'Cause you got
Torture counters.
yeah. And ooh, 2 dice. I think we'll continue using our common dice when we play, but 2 D10 because you need D10s, and the expanded maps. I won't open the counter sheets because somebody really desperately needs to photocopy them before we start, just so we know this if we lose a counter, which can be easy to do.
Oh yeah, I know. I playing the board games I play. I see not to lose a counter.
And
When you have billions upon billions of little chits, then you're gonna lose one.
yeah,
Sure.
but the important thing is it the British division that's a Marine tank division? Because each of these counters, let's see,
The
Okay,
reasons
we
I don't
can
get
see.
into war games.
on this one you have some partisans, you have some Japanese militia, a couple Japanese ships, more ships up here. Each ship has a name. They're all historic ships or ships that were, in theory, planned. With these ones, all these ships are different types of planes. All these counters are different types of planes. But now, for the rulebook, the maps. All the other maps are just paper maps that have to be sort of clipped together. And when they're clipped together, you often have problems about when, oops, somebody moved the map. Somebody moved the table slightly. We now have to see where these units were. So just put these here, and this off to one side. These are the beautiful new maps.
I think we should use magnetics.
There are versions of the game with magnetics.
I'm sure people put a lot of money into
Oh, yeah.
flinging the game out. Oh,
Yes.
whoa.
Now, this is
One map.
one map. And
And
this
there
is
are-
Western Europe.
A lot of maps in there.
There's an Eastern Europe map.
It's like BattleTech.
Yeah, the next base game. There's an Eastern Europe map. There's a Western and Eastern Pacific map. There's an African map. There's a Scandinavian map. Oh, this production spiral. Here's the production spiral. When you build ahead. So if something takes 6 turns and you're starting now, you put it here. If something takes 1 turn and you're starting now, you put it here in this. And just basically you fill out the production circle, the units coming on when the units come on. And normally this is just another piece of paper, but ooh, it is that. And here's the train chart, because every possible train has its own modifiers.
Does it have the cool trains, Hitler's secret trains?
No,
Oh.
trains. And this is the Americas map. We don't normally get to the Americas except for the coastlines. But you have everything from the Dominion of Newfoundland up here, Greenland, and yes, occasionally Mexico will say, we like those Nazis, and invade southern US. It happens. Now the Scandinavian map isn't here as this type of map because it is coming later, along with another counter sheet. Why is another counter sheet coming later? There were 10 counters that were misprinted. And the people that made the game said, that's unacceptable. The people that made the game are, should have a copy of it here someplace, the Australian design group, Harry Rowlands. Yes. And they've decided they're going to reprint those 10 counters. plus, well, it doesn't make sense to print 10 counters, so there will be 90 other counters, and they're asking advice from the buyers to, seriously, what kind of counters do you want?
Counters that track other counters.
Yes. But, oh, what's this? This is the anti-submarine bit, aircraft stacking. Oh, they have the stacking bits on the map now. But, as you can see, even Iceland's in play. Iceland? Oh, yeah, Iceland's up here.
What about Cthulhu in Antarctica?
The Antarctic is not in play because it was not part of the historic World War II. And this is based off of...
The official historic.
And...
Those of us that know the truth know the truth.
Let's see. Get some out, yes. And then you have the... Oh, this is the... Oh. I have no idea what this is because... God Banner Armies. Oh, it's what's on one of the counter sheets. There's another thing on one of the counter sheets.
Oh, good, they have charge for what counters you have. That's
Yes.
awesome.
And, yes, this is the counter sheets for Planes and Flames. They have sheets for all the counters. I assume in the book here, yeah, I can see them there, the combat sheets, because each form of combat is different. And you'll notice there's two books here. The smaller one is the scenario book. Did you want to just do the Western Front and do the first, say, 10 turns of Germany going wild on France? Do you want to start the game with Barbarossa as Germany goes wild on the Russians? Do you want to start the game later in the war as the invasion of Normandy is starting and Germany's going, wow, yeah, this isn't all that good? Or the other scenarios in there, of course, are for these games. So, when during World War II do you want to have the democracies declare war on the communists? And what sort of setup do you want to have for the victorious Axis powers attacking America? I believe there are about 38, 40, maybe 50 scenarios. The one we usually play starts in 1936, when people have virtually no army at all. The British have a huge navy, a lot of surface ships, very few carriers, and a lot of things left over from World War I. And basically, from there, you have to try to modernize your army, navy, and air force, as the Germans are doing the same and putting theirs to use. Often war breaks out in 38, 39. Very few times does peace last until 1940. Usually what happens is the Axis player will declare war and start things going whenever it looks like it's to his advantage to do so. Even that means declaring war on France and Britain before declaring war on Poland, because hey, you go west, then you go east. And a wonderful game. Some people call this a lifestyle game as opposed to a board game.
It takes your entire lifestyle.
It takes your entire lifetime to play it.
Well, you need a
Basically,
dedicated room.
You need a dedicated room because you can't be constantly breaking down, setting up the maps again, because that does take, it takes basically a full day to break them down and record what each unit is. And then a full day to set them back up. When things are complicated, let's say during the middle of 43, when everybody has countless units out and all sorts of combats are happening, with the 5 players we have, if we get half a turn done in a day, we can be doing good. Other days we can get a full turn in. But often we'll... The other thing that makes this game interesting is that the turns are variable length, depending on weather.
I think interesting is a variable term in this
Yes.
case.
Well, makes it more interesting than a standard board game doing World War II. Because how the weather goes depends on how long the turn lasts. You could have a very, very short winter turn, which everyone gets to move once or twice. You can have really long summer turns where everybody gets to move 9, 10 times each. And And sometimes, because of the way the dice go, you can have surprising long winter terms where people get to move 7, 8 times when they weren't expecting to. So they did all sorts of things that exhaust your units at the beginning of that first turn just to come out of the way. And really have little to do during the rest of the turns. But anyway, this is a fantastic game. It was overdue for a makeover, and I believe it's on this map. One of the major changes is here. I'm not sure if you can see this. And first make sure that it's there. Yes. Every other map of the game, the island of Crete was adjacent to 3 sea zones. In this one, it's adjacent to only these 2. It used to be that you could put planes in the island of Crete, Malta, I was calling Crete, Malta, of course, and launch them into this sea zone, this sea zone, and this sea zone. But they changed where the sea zones intersect, and now you don't have that fantastically free bit having your planes just inside the Italian convoy zones. Which, yeah. Anyway, that's one of the many, many changes in this edition of the rules. So those of us who've been playing for 20, 30 years will have to learn the new rules. It's going to be fun.
You know what they should do? They should make Rifts and Flames. So you could play out like the scenario in Rifts, but over long terms.
You do realize...
or Battletech.
That's owned by 2 different companies.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So, copyright laws.
Well,
No,
no, but they could make it redesign Risk so you have a long game as opposed to a short game, or scenarios based.
Yeah, you could put in your juicers as units, and
Yeah.
1 unit for juicers.
They tried doing a board game, Risk board game.
They want a good
Yeah.
one.
And they did do one for Battletech, the Secession Wars.
That would be nice. Is it like this?
No.
Oh.
I've seen it, never actually played it, but basically you're moving drop ships and things like that around, putting things down, and various battle factors get into it as the regiments of Mexico at each other.
See, I can see this being really interesting for people that are into that, like Battletech.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that are into those things that not into World War II, but they would be really good if you put it into their context.
Yes, well, World War II is one of those ones that fascinates people since, I don't know,
It happened.
1938.
Sure, they have war games. They have sci-fi war games and stuff like. Well,
Yeah.
They have Warhammer.
Yes. But that's a miniature-based game. Yeah, that's one of the things that is a bit sad. These huge chit games are a dying breed because us that play them are a dying breed. You don't see a lot of people at convention now playing chit games. They're playing with miniatures. They're playing Euro games, other types of board games, and the big chit board games are becoming rarer and rarer to find. That said, when the shipment arrived in Australia, the ones that went to Australia as opposed to the European distributor and the American distributor, they had 36 pallets of games.
Apparently, they all went to Australia. All those gamers went to
Yeah.
Australia.
Well, that's where the company's based from. And they're shipping all over Asia and things like that. A fantastic game. If you ever have a dedicated group of friends and like World War II, this is the game for you. And like I say, it's modern bit, that kind of board as opposed to the typical paper one. Actually, there should be a paper one in here because the Americans would have their own paper game.
Really, you know.
Oh yeah, because they probably want to have a larger map, I'm assuming. Because, let's face it, if the game is only happening in America, only having a small scale map will have
Really,
everything
not
like
going
this.
to do much good.
So, 2 more D10s. The combat charts. Combat chart for land bits, navals, the air bit, strategic bombing, activity limits, what you can do, the weather chart that talks about how far you move your initiative markers each turn, effects of weather, and here it is, underneath the chits. It's the style map they used to do for all the world countries. And this is basically the Americas. And I'm assuming it's like this.
That's one half.
Oh, that's
The
one
other
half.
is down
That
there.
is North America. Ooh, we now have an American map at this scale. And as I say, it shows everything from Republic of Newfoundland, the Dominion of Newfoundland, the Greenland, various islands, various Caribbean islands, resources, factories. Resources look like round things that have a number beside them, how many resources. Factories look like smoke symbols in boxes. And that's how all of our maps used to be, but now they're flush against cardboard. And
So I'm assuming it's better.
they move less that way, you don't have to put them together. And here's a bunch more American units for late in the game. You have things like,
I don't play these games, so I don't know if you're like, everyone's like, no, we have to have the paper ones because that's more authentic to what the original
No.
game was like.
now, all sorts of new American units, all sorts of new, they've updated Balboa. He's no longer 333, he's now a 533 for this part of the war. Oh, that's interesting. But these are Americans. These slightly less green ones are Italians. Germans in gray and black. Japanese in red. What else is there? Partisans for use for everybody. The pink are Spanish nationals. Oh, sorry, these are Ecuadorians. British and more Japanese. And some French. Just for their North American holdings and South American holdings. And that's basically it. It's a huge game with all sorts of expansions that we currently have now. And this is going to be really fun to play. Unfortunately, we won't be filming it because, as I say, it will be a lifestyle bit, and these two people don't play every other weekend.
Or if it is filmed, we're not going to be in it. We're not going to be there. Like he might film it and put it on. I don't know.
We have to wait for about a year or two, because right now we're doing Gorgandian's Blitzkrieg 2, where we start in, late September of 43, and what was it, 42. And after about, let's say a year, we're into December. We're moving a lot faster now as our units are running out of supplies, and
People starve.
we have to roll for that each turn if they're not supplied. People starving to death. And we're also learning the rules a bit better, so it's going a bit faster. Also, the Russians have a lot less area to defend now. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting game. That's an interesting game, but I don't have that here. I have this here, and this is a beautiful thing of beauty.
Oh, I'm Michael Evans, by the way.
And I'm Richard Chilton.
I'm Richard Obi.
So if you forgot to do that at the beginning.
Yeah, well, no, we skipped over that in our excitement.
Our fans know who we are.
All 5 of them.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Now, remember, we need 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 views per
Per
video.
minute.
No, just per
month.
video.
Okay.
No, per month.
Oh, per month. Okay.
So we're not getting fun. So we're not going to be getting funded. So don't worry about us selling out.
Yeah.
Unless we get a Patreon site.
Yes. But anyway, spread the word. Make sure all your friends subscribe. Go get all your friends and family subscribe. Create, let's say, a couple hundred fake accounts each.
Okay, we don't expect to do that because half of us don't watch these videos.
We're supposed to watch it too.
Okay.
Why are you looking at me? But yes,
Because you and player X are the ones that don't watch the videos.
So long. I mean,
That's what they're thinking too, if they're still here.
Yes. Anyway, this is a fantastic board game. If you like World War II dice chit games, this is definitely the game for you. As long as you have a dedicated room to leave it up all the time. Now, some people have got beyond that by putting magnets on the back of each counter and
Metal sheets on the bottom.
metal sheets on the bottom and mounting them on walls. We haven't done anything that crazy yet.
You open the box.
Yes. But anyway, fantastic game. If you like this sort of game, you'll love it. And just to be clear, American Flames and Patent Flames are expansions for this game. They're not standalone games. Days of Decision 3 is a standalone game if you want to play it the boring way by saying, oh, I send in so many army points, you send so many army points in. Let's roll a dice to see what happens to army points. The funner way is, I send in these units, you send in these units, and we use this to work out who survives.
Again, fun is a relative term.
Yes. The game, all these games are currently in print. If you do not get the Deluxe Collector's Edition, you'll have to pay extra to order Planes in Flames, Ships in Flames, Divisions in Flames, and Territorials in Flames separately. And, you know, you definitely want those because all those give you more options and more counters. Many, many more counters. To the point where they have separate sheets explaining which counters you get with this expansion or that expansion.
So many counters, you think you're playing Magic the Gathering.
Well, you have to remember, every destroyer has its own counter. Every Corvette has its own counter. Well, maybe not every Corvette, they're generally anti-submarine vets, but they have their own counters, just not the name on it. Every destroyer above.
Every soldier in your army has its own counter.
No,
They're groups of soldiers.
every corps does. You can break down to divisions, but basically it's every army corps, every division. If it happened historically, or it could be envisioned theoretically, because maybe Germany wants to build its navy to do Operation Sea Lion. You have that option with Days of Decisions, World in Flames. You can build whatever you want to build. You can fight whatever war you want to fight. And no, they don't actually have the Alien expansion out yet. A wonderful game. I advise everybody that loves World War II chit games to run out and buy it. You might not need to buy American Flames and Patent Flames, but you definitely want World in Flames. And to make it more interesting, to be the person who starts as Neville Chamberlain and goes to Winston Churchill, making decisions as you go, you want Days of Decision to make those decisions.
There's the regular version, not the deluxe version, the regular version. Does that have the cardboard map, or is that going back to the paper map?
I believe that has the paper maps, and it also has, as I say, fewer counters because it doesn't have Ships in Flames.
So I guess so. If you're going to get it, you may as well get the deluxe
Yes.
version. Then you at least have the cardboard maps.
And the paper maps, they're much easier to move than cardboard maps, unfortunately. And earthquakes can change where counters are, unfortunately. But anyway, that's the unboxing. You can see how excited one of us is.
We're
That's what
excited
matters.
for him.
Yes.
And
We're excited we don't have to play this.
the price. Okay, I kickstarted this game for $600 Australian and $100 Australian shipping. Worked out to basically dollar for dollar after the exchange rate and various things.
I love backing Australian games.
Now,
Australian campaigns.
because we bought it then, we saved $100 off the regular price of the package, which basically meant shipping was free. Unfortunately, getting it across the border from the US cost,
$100?
call it, oh no, it wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap.
You notice there was 2 boxes. Each box had about $68 worth of, there's basically the GST and PST on the $600, plus $10 per box for handling fees.
I love backing Australian campaigns that have Canadian-friendly shipping.
This is actually Canadian friendly because it's shipped from the US as opposed to Australia.
Well,
Much cheaper.
usually Canadian-friendly means they ship it to someone in Canada, and that person ships it out, so you don't have to pay the customs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not enough of these gamers in Canada at the moment to support that.
All 5 of them already purchased their product.
No, it is actually a lot of groups out there playing this, and it's worth it. We've never actually played American in Flames or Patent in Flames because we've never had a situation where, gee, the democracies have lost, and we want to play the invasion of the U.S. or
There's a TV show about
Did
that.
you have a copy of it? There was a movie about it, Red Dawn.
yes.
Well,
do you have a copy of it before?
Oh yes, we
or-
had copies of all
okay.
these games before, except for This one.
Except for that one.
And
Well,
we also-
technically you did, it's just not, the new fantasy version.
Well, not the new version where they changed where Malta's located and all that. Now, the other exciting thing about this game that I forgot about until this point is there's 3 people winning, 3 factions playing, and only 1 winner. Is it a fascist victory, a democratic victory, or communist victory? And yes, the communist player controls Russia and the Chinese communists, and can start the Chinese Civil War at various points. The democracies, they're playing the Chinese nationalists, France, Britain, the US. The fascists are Japan, Germany, Italy, and that's most of the world. And with Day's decision, one of the big things to do is to try to get the rest of the world on your side. If the democracies can get Turkey to like them, all of a sudden there's a nice little invasion of the Caucasus and going after those oil fields the Russians have to guard against. Actually, that's generally happens when the fascists get on their side, or when the 3-way war is starting because the communists invaded Yugoslavia while France was still around to declare war on the Soviets for invading Yugoslavia, and France, the US, and Great Britain are at war with Russia and the Axis powers all at the same time going at it. That was a good game. The British reconquest of the Middle East. The Americans lending the British a few tanks to help them with Iraq. The nuking of Paris. Well, there was a big buildup of German units there, and we had nukes, so why not?
And on that note,
And that note, yes. Nuke Paris every time.
I want that on a t-shirt net too.
In communist victory, game play you.
Communists very rarely win after democracies notice that they were winning too often. Historically, though, by the way the game judges things, World War II was a communist victory because they came closer to dominating the world afterwards than the democracy. This is a very Eurocentric bit, and the communists did a lot in Europe. And in our games, they usually take up most of the Middle East, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and start trying to get into places like Jordan, Syria, Israel. It happens. Again, wonderful game. I'm glad you tuned in for the unboxing. This is a fantastic game, and I'm sure you'll love it.
All 2 of you that are still watching.
So, I think that's it. So, until next time,
Thank you for watching. This is Guards and Boards.
and remember to subscribe and like.